lineups. First, Lori for Duke.
Yeah, and they're in typical 4-3-3, very consistent with their lineup. It'll be Katie Groff in the midfield that bring the physicality, allowing for Jones and Graham to join in attack, keep possession at times. We've talked about the importance of Michelle Cooper, 9 goals on the season, but when she drops deep, it allows for Pluck and Rader, who have combined for 10 goals so far, to be able to get into more advanced positions. They'll be looking to get in behind Florida State's back line tonight. And then for Florida State, also in a 4-3-3, same lineup against Notre Dame, except Roque comes into goal. Nesbeth will screen the back line, allowing for Robbins to also get higher up the field, but Echegini and Brown get into more advanced positions as Niswanger drops in underneath. And for a team that's looking to keep more sustained possession, Niswanger will have to lead the way in the central areas for this team.
Yeah, one of the leaders in the ACC in assists, Jenna Niswanger, and just absolutely lethal on set pieces when given the opportunity. You will see a lot of pink tonight for the Seminoles. It is their Paint It Pink night, where they raise money for local hospital's breast care center, auctioning off those jerseys, and it wouldn't be a trip to Tallahassee without this. Of course, this Atlanta Braves fan likes the sound of that as well. Sorry to your Phillies, Lori, but that series now evened up as we get looking at the starting goalkeeper, the ACC co-defensive player of the week for the Seminoles, Christina Roque. What a performance she had last time out, because Florida State has been alternating their goalkeepers between Roque and Mia Justice. So it was Mia Justice in goal for that loss at Notre Dame on Sunday. The last time Roque was in there, well, if you were watching with us last Thursday, you know, career high 10 saves in a big win on the road at Virginia. Ruthie Jones, one of the captains. You can see her in yellow there in the center of that Duke huddle, in goal for the Blue Devils. Makes her 55th straight start tonight for Duke. And you mentioned new leadership for the Seminoles. See Brian Penske over there on the side, coming to Florida State from the University of Tennessee. Teams take a moment of unity there together before our kickoff in this big-time, prime-time matchup on ACCN tonight. The Duke Blue Devils pick to win the ACC for the first time since 2012. And the Florida State Seminoles, winners not only of the ACC last year, but the NCAA tournament, their third in program history. Duke will start off with the ball, wearing the blue tops, white shorts, and as I mentioned, Florida State getting the pink out tonight. Some white uniforms, pink numbers, as Clara Robbins gives the touch up to Leilani Nesbeth. Nice move by the freshman, Sophia Wynn. If there's inexperience in any particular line, one more than the other, for Florida State, it certainly is in the back. Couple of freshmen, Sophia Wynn, Heather Gilchrist, both pretty consistent starters on that back line. Of course, then you also do have Lauren Flynn, junior, one of the other center backs. Provides a lot of leadership and consistency back there, part of the national championship team last year.
And that's one of the areas, Jen, that I expect the Blue Devils early on to look to see if they can exploit the back line for Florida State, to see if they can find Cooper in behind, go a bit more direct in these opening minutes away from home to expose some of that youth in the defense for Florida State.
And still no Heather Payne tonight for Florida State. That's someone who could bring a little more experience and has been very versatile for the Seminole team. Good reason, though. She was out with Ireland, helping her nation qualify for their first ever FIFA Women's World Cup. You see her there in the pink hat sitting on the bench. Found out just before the match, not available tonight. Had to travel across the world to get that win against Scotland, and what a great moment for her country. She started in that match, by the way, up top, speaking of her versatility. Gilchrist, and then Ron Ey, who's dropped into that outside back position this season. Joe Echegini, transfer from Mississippi State, who's really added a lot into this Florida State attack this year. Maggie Graham looks to that front line of Duke, which has been so dangerous. Not just Michelle Cooper, as you talked about, but Pluck on this near side. Kat Rader, the freshman, on the other side. The Royson sisters, the two center backs in this formation, one that Duke has settled into, as you mentioned, 4-3-3. They'll shift a little bit. They feel they can do that as needed. Flynn. Echegini. There is no foul from our referee, Nicholas Balser.
And it's these central areas that are going to really be the deciding factor in this game tonight, Jen. Just so important to the way both of these teams want to play. You look at Nesbeth, who will screen the back line for Florida State, and a team that we're asking questions of what it's going to look like in terms of them responding to their loss against Notre Dame. We're seeing the foul that goes Florida State's way, and Nesbeth puts it in quickly. It's a quick little foul here. So they're trying to dribble out of the back line. Michelle Cooper is the one that's called. But Nesbeth, so important to the way that this team plays, building into the game. And then for the Blue Devils, you look at Sophie Jones, even Katie Groff, mentioned her bringing the physicality in there. Who can win the first and second balls, get it down quickly, and then maintain possession.
A nice Swanger. It's one of her first touches of the match, but still the Seminoles go back before they can go forward. Jody Brown will try to chase this ball. A little bump in the back of Olivia Migley. It'll be a Blue Devil ball.
And this could be a fun matchup, especially how much Olivia Migley wants to get forward. One of the keys to the way that the Blue Devils play in terms of building into the attack, creating width. Jody Brown staying a little bit higher, seeing if she can get on the end of some of those quick transitional moments throughout this match, the space that Migley will leave vacant.
EY on the takeaway for the Seminoles. Echegini wanted that run from Jody Brown. Brown, Jamaican international, 4 goals, 5 assists on the season for Florida State. Flynn, as she and Pluck collide. Oh, what a touch from Niswonger. Brown leaves Migley in the dust. Niswonger, edge of the area. Another really textured ball from Jenna Niswonger. A couple of those in that possession, and it sets up first corner kick of the match for the Seminoles.
And we talk about the importance of Nesbeth right behind her, just screening the back line, and that positioning allows for players like Niswonger to get into the attack, have a bit more of a free roll. Here she is combining with Brown. Great little touch to try to play Brown in behind that earns in this corner kick.
Niswonger serves a great ball. This one at the near post. You can see the way it bends in. She has scored directly off a corner this season. And has had a couple others where she has just laid it up for a teammate to get on the end of. She'll get another shot at it. Different look. But Ruthie Jones has it covered for Duke. She wants to send the Blue Devils off and running. Cooper has the ball at her feet. The ACC leader in most offensive categories. Pluck will apply some pressure to the freshman win, and pressure pays off.
And it's that early ball from Cooper that could be dangerous throughout this match. Talked about the importance of her and her being able to drop deeper, help build into the attack, and allows for Rader and Pluck to get into more advanced positions. Pluck applying the pressure, forcing Roque just to send this one out of bounds.
Delaney Graham, 3-time All-ACC selection for the Blue Devils. The pink cleats over there, easy to spot, took the throw.
We know you like that, Jen.
I do. I always appreciate
Not just the
help.
color pink, but
Yep.
for identification purposes.
Yes, always appreciate that. Migley, you mentioned she likes to get into the attack. This is Rader, who's come now onto this near side, uses a left, centering ball in the middle at the penalty spot. It was Maggie Graham going down. Emily Royston, joined by her sister Jenna, transfer from Georgetown there, number 25. Getting to play together this season. One of two pairs of sisters on this Duke team. Graham's the other, Maggie and Delaney. Brown tried the little slip move, Migley having none of it, not about to be hoodwinked on that play.
You can even see right now in the picture, Jen, with Gruff, number 21 for the Duke Blue Devils, just dropping. She's getting on the ball right now. And this is what they will do in terms of the build-out, allowing for Migley to get a bit higher. Then it would be Graham and Sophie Jones that will just dictate the tempo in the midfield, be outlets in the build-out. So important in the way this Duke team wants to be able to keep possession, get Michelle Cooper involved higher up the field.
Clara Robbins, 7th season with the Seminoles. ACC tournament MVP the last 2 years, a member of the last 2 national championships for Florida State, and she makes her 100th appearance tonight. See if she'll have a centennial celebration of sorts. Right now, Duke on the attack. Cluck couldn't keep it in possession, so it'll be a Florida State goal kick.
That's a good start to the match for Duke. You can see how much they value keeping possession. One of the best ways that they defend is just making the other team, the opposition, have to work. It's going to be important for Florida State, especially early on in this match, just to stay turned on, making sure that they have players covered, especially the runners coming out of the midfield for the Blue Devils.
Ball out of bounds, so Wynn will take the throw. Niswonger coming back to help. It nearly lands at the feet of Michelle Cooper. Last place, you want a ball that's turned over in that part of the field to go if you're Florida State. Here is Cooper, All-American last season in her first with the Blue Devils. Ball in the box and a chance. And it's not a goal, but it is a corner kick for the Blue Devils.
Well, and she's so good in the attack and what she can do in front of a goal, but also it's just her defensive presence as well. Wins this right off of Florida State inside their own 18-yard box, and this is a dangerous ball across, trying to find the feet of Pluck. Just can't redirect it on frame, but does earn the corner kick.
5 goals off corner kicks for Duke this season. A lot of numbers up still on this recycled ball for the Blue Devils. Rader, top freshman, and Roque just couldn't quite hang on to it. Quick shot taken by the freshman Rader.
Well, that's exactly it. What a quick release it was from Rader. Looked like she was going to try to play that ball across into the box. Instead goes herself. I think it almost caught Roque off guard as well.
4 goals in the last 5 for Kat Rader, number 2 in blue. Brown sizes up her options and decides her own number 10 was a pretty good one to call. It is broken up initially. Florida State trying to get into a rhythm, one that they found difficult to come by on the road at Notre Dame on Sunday. Of course, the Irish did strike with a couple of goals early, and that really changed the tempo of things.
And here's a foul on Sophie Jones, but I like the positioning of the Blue Devils. Tight as a unit, players around the ball, able to make the play defensively, and then once they do win it, have outlets to be able to go forward quickly.
The idea of the switch by Niswonger, a good one, but now Echegini manages to come out of the pack with it. We had a nice meeting really with both head coaches earlier today. Appreciate them sharing their time with us on game day, but talking with Brian Pensky, trying to get his feel for things, and he wanted to see how this team would respond to the loss and to being put in a situation they'd never been put in before. They had not trailed until that loss at Notre Dame on Sunday. And then they wound up conceding as many goals in that one match as they had the entire rest of the season. So it was a lot for his team to take. I think he was wanting them to really come out and make a statement. But I'm curious though, from your perspective, Lori, how much concern do you have for this Florida State team, as Brian Pensky has done such a great job? Robbie Church told us today he has maybe the hardest job in the world, really replacing somebody like Mark Krikorian and what he's done here.
Yeah, I don't know if truer words have ever been spoken. I mean, it is not easy, especially with just how successful this program has been in, for Pensky to come in. I think he's aware of that, though, and what they've done so far this season in terms of building confidence, as we even mentioned after the first 3 games that were a bit of a slow start and then led the nation in scoring. I'm not concerned. I think this is a team that's continuously trying to build, trying to understand what's the best positions for a lot of these players, and some young players on the back line as well. I think if you look at even back to the UVA game last Thursday before the Notre Dame game, we're just pinned in defensively. So how do they find Nesbeth? How do they find Niswonger? Some of these players that have been around to get on the ball, because this is a team, Florida State, that wants to keep possession. So how can they continuously build and not find themselves having to chase the game as much? And that's going to start centrally with some of those more veteran players.
Yeah, you said it earlier. Florida State at one point, when they had that stretch of 5 games with at least 5 goals, #1 in the nation in scoring. And even though they still come into this match tonight, #1 in the ACC in goals per game, they were shut out for the first time in the last game, and then had just 2 1-0 wins on the road at Miami and then at Virginia the previous 2.
And a lot of sorry, Jen, a lot of that will start with their defensive pressure as well and be able to build in. We're already seeing a better positioning defensively and then be able to build out of that, because if you look at their front runners, they're dangerous to be able to get in behind, but also check back to the ball and help combine.
Good overlapping run by Wynn, gets to the end line, gets across through. That's something the Seminoles are looking for. Brian Pensky thought this could really be an area you can get at the Blue Devils, get a good ball in the box from wide areas.
And there's a couple of good balls from this right-hand side for Florida State.
Nesbeth. But consider now that's your right back and your holding midfielder, both really in advanced positions, so you do leave yourself a bit vulnerable if you're Florida State on a play like that, had Duke been able to counter the other way.
Well, and that's where they're just going to have to be mindful, and the rotations are going to have to be on point, whether it's Niswonger or even Claire Robbins filling in the gaps when Nesbeth does make the runs through. But it's exact position where you want Sophia Wynn, the freshman right back, to be able to get into those more advanced positions, serve balls in to the box, especially as you see a Jody Brown pinching in, looking to get on the end of it. And for a Duke Blue Devils team that is so good defensively, gets numbers behind the ball, that's how you break teams down, find the wide areas.
Echegini in the middle, Niswonger. Pluck. Getting up over the top, trying to find that space behind the Florida State center backs. Cooper, the one who'll want to exploit it. And look at the defensive work of Echegini coming all the way back, helping out her back line.
Her and Jody Brown have been so important with their work ethic on both sides of the ball, tracking back, being an extra player to help recover. both of these teams. So it's going to be about patience in the final third. Once they do win it, if it's not on to go, then can you find that extra pass, get another player into the attack to be able to combine, create the overloads, have a better opportunity on goal.
You sense there's a bit of a feeling out process happening with these two teams right now. Last year, mentioned Duke did get the win on their home field. Florida State was ranked #1 at the time. Seminoles charging forward. Royson disrupting the flow. Nice Swangers, found some space. Central takes her shot. It's a little high, but we know she can strike from distance.
Well, there certainly has been a feeling out process, and both of these teams just trying to stay composed in the attack. It's Niswonger with a bit of a half chance, just finds a little window of space to get it onto her left foot. You could see the idea of just trying to wrap her foot around to find the upper corner. Just gets underneath it, sends that over the crossbar. But those are the positions that you want this player, Jenna Niswonger, in. Right on top of the box, helping dictate the tempo, but taking it on herself as well.
The sun is just about ready to drop below the tree line here in Tallahassee, but most of the field is in shade at the moment, so that's a benefit to the players. Still warm down here.
I was going to say, warm, and this is the one where you're like, should this be the 8 o'clock game instead of the 6? As it is quite warm, I'm sure, for the players as well.
Oh, the Florida State players are thinking, come on, this is nothing, 84 degrees? I need a jacket.
I even had to put my jacket on.
You did. Nesbeth, can't really say enough about what this senior has done this season, playing a position that has been unfamiliar to her, but usually a much more attack-minded midfielder or forward even, but now playing that holding midfield role for Florida State and doing it really well.
I think that's why it's made the transition for her to play in a deeper role that much easier. She understands the tendencies of attackers. She's seen another collision this time. Michelle Cooper is brought down as she drops deep, but for Nesbeth, understands the tendencies of what an attacking player is looking for, able to disrupt play really well, and mentioned the importance of a player like Niswonger or even Robbins in front of her, and she really allows them to be able to do the work that they do because there's such a safety net behind them.
Migley, you mentioned how much will number 10 be able to get the attack as Cooper sprays a beautiful ball over to Delaney Graham. Back across it goes. It is up over the head of her sister Maggie. Brown has some momentum. It has been tough for either team to penetrate the attacking area. We've seen a couple of shots, 3 for Duke, 1 for Florida State. But those areas have been well protected thus far.
And that's where the decisiveness and the quality of ball that's being served in, or the chance, is going to come into play, because both of these teams, similar in their style, similar in wanting to build out of the back, get numbers around the ball, keep possession, but do have the dangerous players that can exploit in behind. Just haven't seen enough of that yet, with both teams doing a good job of dropping deep their back lines and just absorbing the pressure. Goes back to what we were talking about, just that final pass and just linking up if necessary.
Sophia Wynn, freshman from Pensacola. Robbins able to get back on the ball for Florida State. Seminoles historically have been so good here at the Seminole Soccer Complex. Tough tough to beat on their home field. We mentioned Duke has not won here since 1999. Brown, did she stay on? The flag is down. Jody Brown in the box and scores!
It's an excellent run from Jody Brown, just finding some space, sees the high line from the Blue Devils. This is where she can exploit them. Niswonger with a great little deft touch over the top. No pressure on her. She's able to play a beautiful ball right into the path of Jody Brown, and then a calm finish from the front runner. Takes it down well. Good few touches to get the ball out from underneath her feet and just slots it to the far post. And this is the one thing that Robbie Church said coming into this game. They did not want to be chasing these front runners of Florida State. They wanted to keep the game in front of them. But it's Niswonger that finds just a little bit of space, uncontested, to be able to play that through ball that we haven't seen so far in these first 23 minutes. Great finish from Jody Brown for her 5th of the season.
Last time she scored was not even a minute into that match in Charlottesville last Thursday. Had the game winner officially at 47 seconds as the Seminoles had to fight tooth and nail to hang on to that 1-goal lead, and they did. And Brown, you can tell she's playing a little bit of extra hunger, it feels like, really wanting to make her mark now as she's one of the leaders on this Seminole team, her junior year. One thing Brian Pensky told us, you never want a team to beat you twice. So that's why you were so interested, I know, Lori, to see how this Florida State team would respond after their first loss. Not only of this season, but you have to go back, as we mentioned, all the way to, it was the last match of the regular season, or one of the last ones in 2021. For their last loss, they had a 19-match unbeaten streak. They had won 7 in a row. Now, can they get some of that mojo back? Echegini. On the jump, what a ball! Robbins pops it up, it's just wide. How about the touch, though, from Echegini?
Well, and also just the combination between Brown and Echegini. They've been so important in terms of stretching opposition, getting behind. This time, the positioning of Brown drives across the midfield, finds Echegini, and then a great little touch. And you can see what Claire Robbins is trying to do, just chip it over the head of Jones. There's a quick little touch. Almost looks like this takes a little bit of a deflection. In the end, though, it is a goal kick for the Blue Devils, but great combination play, and it's really been Brown's positioning that has forced Migley, the left back of Duke, to not be able to get into higher positions up the field, forcing her to have to defend, and that has been such an important piece to the way that the Blue Devils build in the attack, is allowing for Migley to get higher up, but Brown forcing the issue, being such a threat in the attack for Florida State.
See how the goal changes things for either team. Florida State now with a little more comfort, a little more confidence. But I think they were lacking in the confidence department. And Duke having to fight their way back. Well, the Blue Devil team has been tested, Lori. When you think about what they did in a non-conference coming in, or that win on the road at Tennessee, they came back to win 3-2 after trailing. Cooper trying to hold off 2 different Seminoles. And it is Florida State that's going to be called for the foul.
Yeah, more specifically, like Nesbeth being called for the foul, and Cooper just continues to be such a pest in there, winning balls, drawing fouls, threatening in behind. Also doing such a good job of just finding open players. She's really the one that's been able to spray the ball around in these opening 25 minutes for the Blue Devils.
Sophie Jones.
Oh shit, oh shit.
Ball headed up dangerously toward the post. It is in! It is not confusion, and then all of that hullabaloo in front of the goal winds up with a ball in the back of the net to tie game. I'm not even sure who gets credit for that.
And what a strange play. It's off of a ball from Sophie Jones, and there's Nesbeth that's trying to make the play, ends up ricocheting off the post, and then Roque, I think, is caught off guard from the header off of Nesbeth's head. You can see her tracking back as much as she can, feet going to the right, then reshuffling across to make the play on the left-hand side, but the Blue Devils just having players there to make the finish.
So Grace Watkins will be the player officially who gets credit for that. I should tell you now, Watkins just subbed into the match, one of a couple of changes that Duke made. And it is one of the stranger goals.
I was just going to say, really one of the most bizarre plays. And we like the effort from Nesbeth to try to get something on it, just redirects it in the direction that she doesn't really want it to go. And Roque having to move her feet to try to make the play across goal, just can't. Credit to the Blue Devils and Watkins in particular, just to swarm the goal and get anything on it for the equalizer.
When you think about the foul on Cooper that was earned, that set up the free kick. The free kick winds up with the missed clearance by Nesbeth off the post, and then that's when Maggie Graham and eventually Grace Watkins were able to put it away. Cooper takes it. What a curling shot. Not an easy save as Roque is bumped into the post.
Well, we had a great angle off the shot from Cooper. Just had so much spin and then dip at the last second. You see why Roque just has to bat it away. And it's Cooper that just gets her head up off the turn, sees a bit of space. Why not go herself? And her team another corner kick in this game.
Second quarter of the match for the Blue Devils, right in the heart of the box, but Roque is there. Christina Roque, as I mentioned, ACC Co-Defensive Player of the Week, and that was only playing one match last week. Didn't play in both, but she did enough in that one, and then some to earn it. Career high 10 saves in the win against the Cavaliers. She has the #1 career goals against average of any active player in the country. It was .51 coming into tonight. Fancy little flick attempt from Brown there. Didn't quite make its way where she wanted it to go. Cooper just so composed, even knowing there are always defenders breathing down her neck. This is another foul that's going to be called against Nesbeth and the Seminoles, to the chagrin of the garnet and pink-clad crowd.
And Nesbeth not afraid to get into the mix, and it's actually Nesbeth trying to almost get away from the tackle. I think she's called with the screen, though, on Pluck in the end. But you make a great point on Michelle Cooper, just composed, and it's really her positioning that I'm so impressed with, just understanding when she can take one touch.
Chance in the back now as the ball slips to Cooper, and Roque also kept her composure.
Yeah, important play from Roque, because it's Michelle Cooper just coming on 1v1 with her, and going back to Cooper, just her positioning, her understanding when to take multiple touches to have other players join in with her. So wise beyond her years in that attacking position.
It seemed calm, a little conservative perhaps at the beginning as these two teams were trying to figure one another out. The last few minutes, though, a different type of feel. 1-1 match now, goals 4 minutes apart. First Florida State and then Duke finding a way to get the answer.
Well, this is what makes this matchup so fun, though, Jen, is when you look at both of these teams, we talk about them wanting to keep possession, but they also have the ability to exploit in behind, go direct when necessary. Michelle Cooper for sure for Duke Blue Devils, and then Ejigini and also Brown that we've talked about on the other end. So these players can really cause some trouble if they decide to go long, and we're starting to see a bit more of that in the last 10 minutes while this game has opened up.
So Maria Alagoa, sophomore out of Portugal, just came into the match. She's been dangerous on set pieces. She'll take the corner for the Seminoles. Florida State still trying to make something of this opportunity. Okay, Gilchrist, that's your freshman defender making some moves, oohing and awing the crowd. Couple players down, no foul called. Beata Olsen had a touch in there where she's hardly seen any of the ball. She's still in the middle now, number 9 for Florida State. Duke has Cooper running in transition. Nesbeth. Brown wants to go. Nesbeth delivers. Bouncing in the box, but too close as Ruthie Jones aware of what was going on.
And I like the idea from Nesbeth to look to try to play that over the top. There are times, though, when Brown can just pull herself wide, looking to go a bit more straight, makes the game a bit too narrow for herself. Hard to play that ball in with the amount of texture on the run at full speed. If you're Nesbeth, just keep your one run wide, open up space for yourself to be able to take Migley on 1v1, allow for more runners to come through if you're Jody Brown.
Our Sunday best this week on ACCN will have a volleyball doubleheader. Virginia Tech takes on Notre Dame in South Bend at 1 Eastern. Then it's off to Chapel Hill for North Carolina hosting Syracuse. Both matches right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. Duke did well with another ball that hung around in the area, wasn't cleared by the Seminoles, started off a free kick. That's how they got the equalizer, the 27th minute. And Devin Lynch, number 6, one of the changes, just came on for the Blue Devils, replacing Mackenzie Pluck. Freshman out of Naperville, Illinois. And a pretty frequent contributor off the bench for the Blue Devils this season, does have 1 assist. So both Pluck and Rader off the field at the moment for Duke. And those outside wing positions in the attack. Alagoa. First touch too strong. Graham to Cooper. Feeling out the pressure, finding the space. Nearly got it there for Graham. Cooper again. Left-footed ball. Won't trouble Roque this time around.
But the positioning defensively for the Blue Devils, in particular Jones, just sitting in that space to be able to pick up the loose balls and then play make from those deeper areas. So important to the way that Duke wants to attack, wants to get numbers around the ball. She's able to find Michelle Cooper right off the initial pass and the turnover.
Emma Bissell coming on for Florida State, sophomore out of the United Kingdom, replacing Echegini. So about 10 minutes to go in our first half. This is one of those time periods you want to watch. Both teams have made some changes. How will that play out? Florida State in particular has really had to ride their starters hard these last few games in what is, I think, what we will look back on as their defining stretch of the season, for better or for worse. See if they can hold up having to play a lot of minutes, and can the team keep the level up when they do take those subs off? A shorter roster for Brian Penske this year.
Well, and that's something that I think that Duke needs to recognize as well. Just how much depth that they have and the ability to rotate some players more so than Florida State, understanding that they've come off of a big loss, 4-0 to Notre Dame away from home. And with such fine margins in this league, can you take advantage of that even though Duke is playing away from home themselves? They have so many weapons up top. They have the ability to keep possession. They also have the ability to go vertical at times and just continue to apply more pressure than we've really seen from Duke early on in this first 45. It's one thing that Robbie Church did speak to us about. It doesn't feel like this team is coming even close to hitting their ceiling, still has a way to go. I think that's one of the areas. Can they be even more ruthless, understand where they can take advantage of certain teams? And sometimes it's just understanding they might be a little bit defeated, not knowing what the response is going to be like under a new coach at this time in the season, a critical point. Really go after them, apply pressure, and exploit them in a variety of ways.
Michelle Cooper coming off for Duke. She'll get a 8-minute rest at least, plus halftime, as Elle Piper comes on in her place. Player who Robbie Church thinks has a bright future, freshman out of San Jose, California. And it was a substitute, Grace Watkins, number 9 for Duke, who has been the goal scorer for the Blue Devils so far. Sometimes you just have to be in the right place at the right time. It was the first goal of the season for Watkins. Migley has 1 goal, 3 assists on the season, all of those coming in the last 5 matches. Lynch gives her enough time to get the ball at least as far as Roque. Florida State, we mentioned, just coming off their first loss of the season, still ranked number 4 in the country. Duke, in a move that is mystifying, dropped from number 7 in the rankings to number 12, despite winning both of their matches last week. A little bit odd. And the Blue Devils, their 3 losses on the season, all coming to teams ranked in the top 3 in the country. Their only ACC loss, 1-0 to Virginia. This is Bissell. Flynn, so confident out of the back, but asking the freshman Wynn, where are you? I need you to come up with me.
And, you know, and just to that point, Jen, this is where I think that Duke can continue to push the pace a bit more. You're looking at the back line and conceded some goals as of late. The 4 against Notre Dame that we've mentioned a couple different times, and having 2 freshmen Wynn playing out of position, and then Gilchrist as well, the other freshman center back defender for this Florida State team. And can you sit a couple players on that back line if you're the Blue Devils and really see what they're made of, force them to play out? Right now, it's just a bit too easy.
Olsen, that's a good run for the ball and does well to earn the Seminoles the corner. Bianna Olsen led the Seminoles last season with 14 goals and 1 assist after she transferred from the University of Florida. 4 goals, 2 assists this season. Moves like that, though, don't always show up in the scorebook, but pretty significant to earn the set piece here as she comes out, and Olivia Garcia, freshman out of Las Vegas, comes in. Alagoa. Jones, easy grab out of the air. Talk about Christina Roque's numbers. Ruthie Jones, some pretty impressive numbers throughout her career as well. Senior goalkeeper for the Blue Devils, currently second all-time in program history in goals against average for her career. Fifth all-time with 22 shutouts. Delaney Graham just says, let's get it up the field, but her usual outlet of Cooper not on the field at the moment, so nobody there in blue to collect. Top two teams in the ACC. Everybody else has more than one loss in conference play as we get set for another big weekend in ACC women's soccer. We've got this one for you. And then Virginia Tech coming up later tonight. Give you a little look ahead at that one at halftime. Interesting that it was Delaney Graham, the player who eventually came across for Duke to provide that pressure, ran all the way across the field to do so.
Step.
A few moments of calm here after some chaos where we had our goals scored 4 minutes apart. Nice goal from Jody Brown in the 23rd minute to give the home team, Florida State, the lead, and then some chaos off of a free kick in the 27th minute. Duke able to find the game-tying goal.
And we see this a few different times from both of these teams throughout this first half. Just sitting off, being more compact defensively, allowing the rotation of the ball from the back line for each team. Just staying compact and denying some of that verticality that we talked about that have shown to be dangerous in this game for both sides.
Lynch steps in, takes possession for the Blue Devils. Graham to her older sister Delaney, who nods it down but doesn't have the runner in front.
And those are a bit of the lower percentage balls that we've seen, I think, for both sides. Once there has been some build-up play or just a slower bit of possession, it's just a forcing of the issue.
Garcia holding off a couple of defenders. I think you would say this is no disrespect to the players coming off the bench, but it feels like the level has dropped a little bit here, at least in terms of fluidity, continuity, knowing what each other wants to do. We've seen both teams have a few more issues with that as they've gotten more substitutes out on the field, and that can happen.
And that's just it. And also just understanding where the space is. If you're looking to go directly in behind, but the back line has dropped, then just check off, get it, receive it to your feet, and then be able to build from there. And we've seen, once you do have a bit of the run of play and possession, then it's the forced pass in the end that leads to nothing. And it's an easy giveaway and turnover to the other team.
I don't know, hard to pick a team you think maybe would deserve to be winning this one at the moment. As it stands, nobody is.
I agree, and this feels like definitely a 1-1 game. Bit of a bizarre goal for Duke, but in the end found in the back of the net. And certainly feels like most of the play has been centrally still, even throughout the first 45, feeling each other out and just looking for some of those half chances.
Well, we'll get an opportunity to check in with the coaches here at halftime, and we'll look back at our first half and ranked either 2 or 3 in the country at the time. That includes a loss against second-ranked North Carolina, but that was a non-conference matchup back in early September between those two teams. And It's a match that Robbie Church says he felt his team really learned from, wound up forcing a bit of a formation change as they've gone along this season. And anytime you get these matchups with these powerhouses like the two you have tonight, it is going to be a learning experience regardless of the outcome. You just hope you get that win to go along with it.
And I loved exactly what he said. When we asked, what did you learn in that non-conference play? He said, they expose what's ugly about the way that you play. And to his credit, they changed the formation, maybe haven't scored as many goals as they did in non-conference play or the biggest of margins, but they're playing, overall, they're playing better. They're getting more numbers in the attack and really creating some issues for the opposition.
Duke coming off back-to-back wins, 2-1 against Wake Forest. A freshman Cat Raider had a brace in that match, both goals for the Blue Devils, and then a 1-0 win against Pitt. Panthers had gotten off to a great start. Chance early here for the Seminoles. And it will go out for a corner kick. So Florida State starting the second half on the front foot.
Well, it's Neiswanger again. She's the one that played the ball in the first half to Jody Brown for the go-ahead goal. Just gets a bit of space, always lunging from it. I'm not so sure that Ruthie Jones needed to make that play. It looked like it was always going wide, but wants to make sure 100%, so sends it out for a corner kick. This is an area where Florida State, in particular, Neiswanger has been dangerous. Good service in.
Yeah, throughout her career, this has been an asset she brings. Great service on set pieces. Gilchrist, center back, was the Florida State player to track it down.
This is the second time in this game that we've seen Gilchrist get in good positions, taking on 1v1. Begs the question of what are you doing in that center back position?
What my coach tells me to. I always have to do a number check to make sure I'm seeing it right, but it is indeed the center back, number 20, Heather Gilchrist, freshman out of Boulder, Colorado. And another corner coming here for the Seminoles. Driven through. And Olsen thought that it went out off of Duke, but not so. Nicholas Balser, our referee, and if that name sounds familiar to you, by the way, he's the brother of Bethany Balser, plays for the NWSL Shield winners, OL Reign. Nesbitt won it for the Seminoles. Brown had her 5th goal of the season, 23rd minute. Wynn overlapping on that far side, giving some numbers advantage here to Florida State. She gets it back from Brown. Going to the end line, and it is a plethora of corner kicks to start this second half for Florida State.
Yeah, and it's a really good start for Florida State in the second 45. It's denying the Blue Devils to be able to get out of their own defensive end, pinning them in and earning some of these set pieces, and not the response that Robbie Church would want from his team to come out on the front foot, haven't been able to get out of their own defensive half.
You're living dangerously, giving up corners to the Seminoles. Still in the box. Now it's cleared, but not too far. Graham and Gilchrist both go down. A little bit of contact between those two, to say the least.
Ends up being a foot race, and it's Delaney Graham coming in behind Gilchrist, trying to make the play, but ends up getting more of Gilchrist in the ball.
Yeah, I think that, looking back, certainly should have been whistled a foul. It was just a throw-in for the Seminoles. Ron Ewai had Echekini in some space. Good defending by Duke. Grace Watkins, who had the game-tying goal for the Blue Devils, starts the second half, number 9 in the midfield. Actually maybe up in one of those attacking wing positions for Duke. And Chigini calmly brings it down to Brown, who fires for the brace!
And my goodness, has she put on a clinic in terms of finishing. We saw it in the UVA game last Thursday, 2 tonight, almost in the exact position. This time it's just patient with her run. Ejigini does all the work to find her on the far post. And it's a great first touch to be able to set herself up, get it out from underneath her. There's the first touch, and then the second one, look at that strike. Just unleashes it to the far post. So composed. And just comes through it, makes such good contact to put the team up 2-1 early on in the second 45.
The junior from St. Anne, Jamaica, now with 6 goals on the season. She's been an all-ACC performer her first 2 years for the Seminoles. And a bit of a larger role, I think you would say, this year, Lori, right? With some of the players who have moved on from Florida State. She's always been impactful, but now even more so.
And absolutely, and working on both sides of the ball, making some defensive plays. In the go-ahead goal in the first half, looks to threaten in behind. Great first touch to be able to set herself up for that one as well, and then just pulls herself wide, is patient in her ability to go forward for Ejigini to be able to find her. And a lot of credit to Ejigini. How good has she been? What an addition to this Florida State team coming from Mississippi State. She's doing a lot of the dirty work as well and scoring goals on her own along with Jody Brown.
Yeah, nice to see those two able to link up on that play. And Chigini, the transfer from Mississippi State, led the Bulldogs in scoring the last 2 seasons, spent 3 years there.
And that's something that I think Florida State could look for more often in the attack, is Ejigini and also Jody Brown linking up. We saw it just one time in the first half. It led to an opportunity, but with an Olsen playing in that number 9, the target forward position. As Michelle Cooper looking to go herself, just sends that well over the crossbar. But with Olsen for Florida State, the target striker, a bit more of a hold-up play, then you have the ability with Ejigini and Brown to have more fluidity, to link up, switch sides if necessary. Something that I think in these important games down the stretch they could utilize even more going forward, in and around the box especially.
Not sure if it's fully by design, but the pace really slows down when Florida State gets a goal kick. Now they can pick it right back up, as they do here when Nesbitt saw a path forward and she took it. Always seems very deliberate, resetting a play where they want to go. Brown open to receive the ball.
And in some ways, this scoreline is also not surprising, because leading into this game, Jen, you and I were talking just how difficult it has been for teams to get back-to-back wins against the upper echelon in the ACC. We saw Florida State beat UVA away from home, then go on the road as well to Notre Dame, lose that game, now winning against Duke, the other top team currently in the ACC. And just such fine margins in this league. It's been so difficult for teams to collect points consistently back-to-back games.
Florida State in quite a stretch. The win at Virginia last Thursday, the loss at Notre Dame. Virginia ranked number 2 at the time, by the way. Duke tonight, ranked number 12. Next Thursday, North Carolina coming in here to Tallahassee. The Tar Heels currently ranked number 2. We'll have that one for you in our primetime matchup next Thursday. Later kick time, so be ready for that. Make sure you join us for that, 8 p.m. Eastern on ACCN. Always a good one when those two teams get together. Duke was able to get their goal off of a set piece in the first half. Now Florida State gets a free kick. Nice Swanger. With the left, the header! It's one more for Florida State. Olsen puts it home.
And it's such an important goal just to get a little bit of separation in the score line. But it's Niswonger again with the delivery, left-footed, in-swinger, just right into the path of Olsen. She does so well to lose her mark, gets herself a bit of space, and then it's Jones that's coming off her line, trying to make her play, doesn't even come near it, and Olsen just slots it with a great little touch. Just needs to redirect it, that's all she does. Doesn't have to get pace or power on it. Just sends that one into the back of the net, put her team up 3-1.
A feather soft touch on the ball, but now Duke coming back the other way. Certainly feeling the pressure now. Down 2 goals, puck into the side of the net, can't get it in front.
And certainly something that Robbie Church, head coach for Duke, will not be happy with. Just too easy, haven't started the game, or this second half, excuse me, very well at all, just pinned in. Not even able to find Michelle Cooper on the break at times. Too easy in terms of the turnovers and possession, and it's allowed Florida State to get 2 quick goals. It's opening 10 minutes of the second half. Great service from Niswonger on that 3rd goal.
Yeah, Florida State 3 shots the entire first half. 3 shots that have led to 2 goals in the first 10 minutes of the second. Duke will make a change here. Katie Groff started the match, comes in at the moment to replace Maggie Graham. She can come back in one time in the second half. And for a possession team like Florida State, a 2-goal lead allows them to do what they do best, play keep away.
Well, I also think it tests this Florida State team, because that's something that Brian Pinsky, we asked directly what he wants more from his team late in this season, and it's just that sustained possession. They've been able to find different ways to score goals this season than we've typically seen them, which is go more vertical, find some of those threatening players in behind, but they've also lost a bit of their ability to keep the ball.
Yeah, that's fair. Delaney Graham gets around the outside on Echegini, pops it up high.
Great work from Echegini. It's the dirty work that you're looking for from your front runners to work back. It's Graham trying to make the play on the other end for Duke. Just going back to that previous point, Jen, it's a great opportunity for Florida State to build in their confidence even more, knowing that they can be that threat in behind when they're chasing games, but also can you close out games with possession, keep moving it, keep being a threat going forward, but take care of the ball, deny Duke any opportunities in those advanced positions.
And let's not forget, they have a pretty big job ahead of them for the remainder of this match, and that's to try to keep that woman right there in check, number 18 in blue. You just can't ever forget about how good Michelle Cooper is and what she's able to create.
And I think, you know, the biggest thing is we know she scores goals, but what she also does is she draws attention to herself. And so that's when you have to look at players like Rader or Pluck to step up at this point in time. We've seen Groff, holding midfielder, that's going to bring that physicality, come back into the game. Here's a player that looks like
who's making a change here before this free kick is taken, as Karina Laguerre, a little bit labored. Hate to see that. The freshman who was a member of the USA U20 team at the World Cup has been dealing with a muscle injury, and he's not really been able to get in the groove.
But this just asks the question of more players stepping up for Duke. Who can be that extra player outside of Michelle Cooper? And with Groff, the point I was making, with her back on the field, the physicality she brings into those central areas, can you get Sophie Jones and even Maggie Graham higher up the field, start to take a bit more risk to get yourself back into this game? Still plenty of time for the Blue Devils.
And said it earlier that the last 6 Blue Devil goals have been scored by someone other than Michelle Cooper, although she has had 4 assists on those 6 goals. So not only is she really good at drawing attention, but she knows how to find her teammates. Blue Devils come streaking through, and it was a good-looking shot, just not on target.
And this would be the left back, Bigley, getting into the attack. We've seen her rotate into these more advanced positions. Good interception, and then just gets it out in front of her. Is always seeing that one wide. Actually does take a deflection. Earns them a corner kick.
Yeah, just the third of the match for Duke, first of the second half. Pluck takes the corner. Still a chance for the Blue Devils.
And much like Jen, we were talking about for Florida State, and closing out this game, keeping possession, not allowing Duke to have opportunities. That's the message for Duke. Can you keep possession, not force too many opportunities, keep moving the ball around, find the wide areas, find different angles, create the overloads, pull out the back line for Florida State and see if you can exploit some of those gaps.
Nobody applying any pressure. Duke content to let that back line and the 2 center backs, Flynn and Gilchrist, have the ball for a moment. Florida State has had such an incredible run in the last few years. 17 seasons under Mark Krikorian, who just built this team into an absolute powerhouse. 3 national championships in that span, 2014, 2018, and of course last year. Been to 12 College Cups, 8 of the last 11. 8 ACC tournament titles, including last year. So they have perennially been amongst the best, not only in the ACC, but in the NCAA. And I think this team once again proving they deserve to remain in that conversation. Come in ranked number 4 tonight after having their 8-game win streak snapped at Notre Dame on Sunday. And this will earn the Seminoles a free kick. Want to give you our Week 7 college football lineup for Saturday on ACCN and the ESPN app. Number 18, Syracuse is hosting 15th ranked NC State. That's at 3:30 Eastern. At 8 Eastern, the day is capped by our ACCN prime time matchup. Tobacco Road rivalry coming your way, North Carolina and Duke. Well, the last Seminole free kick led to a goal. Nyswanger looking for another assist. Olsen the target again. She has it at her feet. Takes the shot. It's blocked. Still not clear. Crowd urging the Seminoles to look for more. The volley from Nyswanger. And a big save from Jones.
And Nyswanger is certainly feeling it tonight. A bit of a difficulty for Duke to be able to relieve pressure inside their box. Tons of numbers, just can't make the play to relieve the pressure. Nyswanger decides to go first time, makes great contact with it, just waits for that one to drop, and look at the connection. Jones sees it the entire way. That gets an important touch to send that over the crossbar. But as Nyswanger again on that far side, setting herself up for what has been some dangerous free kicks, or excuse me, corner kicks throughout this game.
Corner from Neiswanger, bending in toward the goal, still in front, and it's in! The Seminoles score again, and Nesbeth gets in on the act.
And Neiswanger has been at the heart of 3 of these 4 goals in this match so far. Another beauty of a ball. It's just whipped in with bend and pace. Difficult for the Blue Devils to clear this ball again. It just drops right to Nesbeth, and she just strikes right through it. Doesn't make no mistake about it. There it is right there, and just rifles that into the back of the net to put them up 4-1, and certainly feel like this game is out of reach now for the Duke Blue Devils.
Yeah, we've seen Duke climb back in. I mean, I think that win at Tennessee in August, the perfect example of being able to come back. They overcame a 2-goal deficit, just the 3rd time in program history. First time since 1997 that they had done that. But down 3 goals to this 4th-ranked Florida State team, it's a pretty tall task.
Yeah, and a lot of credit to Florida State, because, Jim, when we were coming into the second half and even exiting the first, the big question was who's going to really start to push the pace, who's going to create the turnovers, and really it's been all Florida State in this second half, stepping up their pressure early on, creating set pieces, corner kicks, drawing fouls that have really been fruitful for them to be able to find the back of the net. Neiswanger, again, such an important piece, and that's a player that we highlighted coming into this game in terms of just dictating tempo, keeping the ball moving, but also for a team that wants to be able to keep possession, close out these games, that are set pieces that have been terrific tonight.
3 assists for Neiswanger on the evening, and you hear and see so much about her left foot as well. You should. That's what she takes most of those set pieces with. But how about that volley that set up the corner coming off her right?
Just putting herself in great positions in that attacking midfield role, getting on loose balls, and that's really been the difference, is just the desire and the commitment to get on the loose balls. We've seen it a couple different times, especially on the set pieces. Difficult for Duke to be able to make the clearance, relieve the pressure. Left the ball hanging around, and then it's been the Seminoles that have made the play. And great response. If this is what you're looking for, if you're Brian Pinsky, this is the response after that Notre Dame game that you're looking for. Come back home, put that game behind you, and score 4 goals of your own against a top-ranked Duke team that has been one of the best in the ACC so far this year. And quite frankly, the nation, was one of the best players in the nation as well, leading the line up top with Michelle Cooper. Really kept her quiet. A lot of credit to the back line right now for Florida State.
Yeah, you feel like the thread for Duke has completely been unraveled in this second half. The way that Florida State has come out, getting the 3 goals in a span of 12 minutes. Certainly making use of their set pieces, one of them starting off a free kick, one off a corner kick, both from the foot of Jenna Neiswanger.
And here's the interesting thing for me with Duke so far is you can see they're almost in this at times, and we've seen this throughout the year, but in a hybrid 4-2-3-1, at times they'll look like a 5-back. They will push their wing backs, especially Delaney Graham on this near side, going higher up. But they're not stepping out, they're not stepping up their pressure, and we really haven't seen Florida State just from the get-go try to play those direct balls in behind. Begs the question of why Duke hasn't stepped up their pressure, trying to pick off some of those passes from the back line right off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, that was the message loud and clear. We heard from their head coach, Robbie Church, at halftime, and we asked him what he wanted. Now the Blue Devils on the break. It's Pluck. Tripped up, it looks like, right at the edge of the area, but there is no foul called.
And it's Neiswanger. We've seen Echegini, we've seen Jody Brown, we've seen Neiswanger making the plays defensively. And when you look at a team that wants to make a run deep into not only the ACC tournament, but the NCAA tournament as well, that's what you have, a complete team performance on both sides of the ball. We saw that against Virginia as well, made it so difficult. 21 shots for Virginia, but the amount of players getting behind the ball for Florida State to keep that shutout away from home, those are the things that really build confidence, especially under a new coach, Brian Pinsky.
And Florida State, this is the stretch, as we've said a couple of times, that will define it. If they make it through this stretch that they're in right now of 4 matches, and they can come out of this one with a win tonight, and then they've got North Carolina here on their home field next Thursday, that should give them the ACC regular season title. I mean, they have a chance to control their own destiny as far as that is concerned right now. And having picked up that big win on the road at second-ranked Virginia, yes, they had the loss at Notre Dame, but now we're seeing the response. This is going to be a stretch that Florida State will be really proud of moving forward.
And they're doing this with a fairly thin roster in terms of not a lot of depth. Heather Payne, that we mentioned earlier on, coming back from her time with the Irish national team. They'll get her back into the mix. That will be a big boost to allow for more players, push a few players higher up into the attack, but just also give them a bit more depth coming off the bench.
Yeah, Heather Payne certainly is a big part of this Florida State team. Senior out of Castle Park, Ireland, and the shots of just pure joy from the Irish players after they got a 1-0 win against Scotland, and that earned them their first ever bid to the FIFA Women's World Cup. They'll be there in Australia and New Zealand next summer.
And it was just a good picture of Michelle Cooper urging her team to step up even more. And you see the big gap that's opening up between the back line and the midfield for Duke, and it's easy for Nesbeth now to just regain possession, and that's because Michelle Cooper can't get the pressure on the back line of Florida State to deny the service. And the Blue Devils defense just has to drop to try to win the first ball.
Tough task in a lot of ways here for Duke. How do you handle still a lot of time left? Over 20 minutes remaining in this match. Obviously you're pushing, you're trying to win, but mentally, where are you if you're Duke? Conceding those 3 goals after getting this game tied up, and after Florida State had taken the lead in the first half.
Well, this is also a really important growth period for Duke as well. Just stepping up their pressure. Can they start to get higher pressure on that back line for Florida State, but then also be patient in their build? We see them trying to force the issue, still trying to find that final pass deep in their own attacking half, and just connect your passes, link up. They're so good in combination play. Haven't seen that throughout this game at all.
May see a card here, and we do, from Nicholas Balser.
There's the late foul on Cooper on Robbins. Getting her legs, and you see how she feels about that.
Well, and certainly there is some frustration, you can imagine, for Michelle Cooper, and she is often a player that gets the brunt of the physical tackles from her opponents. And then just the general way that this one has gone tonight, not the way that she or the Blue Devils drew up. Win. Brian Pensky told us he felt pretty good about the way the first half went, and it's gotten better for his team in the second half. On a night, by the way, when it's already a special occasion for this Florida State program. Paint it pink, that's why you see a lot of the pink around the field tonight. The crowd wearing their pink. Broadcast, but we got pink up in the booth here too, at least one of us does. But it really is a great initiative, and found out at halftime they've already raised over $5,000. They have an auction going on. If you love the pink jerseys you see out there, you can get in on it. There's a link on Florida State Soccer's social media account, and auction goes through Sunday, so you can certainly check that out. Proceeds go to benefit the local hospital and their breast cancer center. Royson looking forward. Delaney Graham just had nowhere to go. Nesbitt running hard, knocked down.
And this is why she's so important in this position, because as I mentioned earlier in this game, she understands what attackers are looking for, just gets her body low, draws the foul, and then is able to reset play quickly. Really been outstanding tonight. Just with her positioning, but also just drawing fouls, slowing things down, and think about somebody that's helping keep rhythm. She is one of those players.
I was about to ask who at this moment you would give the game ball to if you were Brian Pensky and Florida State. I think we know.
Yeah, and I mean, Neiswanger has really risen to the occasion. You know, you saw glimpses of that even though they played a lot of the UVA game defensively, pinned back by UVA. She was an important piece in some of the buildup as well, and just continuously is a threat. And tonight, my goodness, a couple of opportunities on frame herself, but 3 assists out of the 4. Exactly what you want from one of your attacking midfielders. And certainly from one of your veteran players.
Yeah.
And you look at trying to respond from that 4-0 defeat against Notre Dame. That's what you want. Players putting this team on their shoulders, making big plays, setting your team up for success.
Neiswanger now the ACC leader in assists at an even 10. One of the captains for this Florida State team in her senior year.
And that really just feels, that ball feels like the way that it's gone for Duke tonight. Just not their typical combination, settling into the game, forcing too many final passes from these deep areas. Just create turnovers, and they're having to defend the majority of this game.
Well, with no early game Saturday on ACCN as far as football goes, the ACC Huddle crew will get you set for the late afternoon games at 3 Eastern. They'll have a halftime show for NC State Syracuse, and at 6:30 you'll get a complete wrap-up of the afternoon games, and the crew will get you set for the primetime matchup between North Carolina and Duke on ACCN at 8. Duke players, they'll get to go back home, have a chance to see if their football team can get the victory bell in their hands. Both Duke and Florida State, no Sunday game this weekend. All in the box, Delaney Graham toe poked it toward the corner, and Roque reached out to save it.
Well, that's one of the better plays, and it starts with just staying calm in the central areas of the field for Duke. They create a few little passes that opens up space for Gruff to be able to play that ball in behind, and it's Graham trying to get on the end of it. Always going to be difficult when there's not enough pace on it to beat Roque. Handles it easily.
Florida State Seminoles may have had their win streak, their unbeaten streak, broken up by Notre Dame on Sunday, but they have come back with a vengeance on their home field tonight. Neiswanger, player of the match for the Seminoles, already has had quite an impact with her 3 assists.
Because why not if you're Neiswanger? Knows she got underneath that one, going for gold. Nowhere near the goal, but why not? You're feeling it, find some space. She's had a few good opportunities, whether it's playing the final pass to Jody Brown for that first goal in the first 45. Had a sweet opportunity herself, saved up the bar from Jones.
Olsen on the ground. Yeah, Jody Brown's probably saying, am I not in contention? I do have a brace, tonight for your player of the match, which is not, we're just We don't get to give that award.
And
but
listen,
if we did,
I would put Olsen in there too, because some of the work that she does goes unnoticed. It's not as glamorous, but her movement is so good. She stretches the back line at times, checks away, then comes back. She can link play, and then it opens up that space for those players like Echegini and even Jody Brown to be able to get in behind. Really seeing her play a pivotal role in tonight's game as well, Olsen.
Bissell trying to navigate through a couple of Duke defenders, eventually is held there right in front of the referee by Sophie Jones. That draws the whistle. Feels like another one of those back to the drawing board games for Duke. They felt they had that in their loss against North Carolina earlier this season in a non-conference game. And you get the sense it's going to be another one of those, Lori, as the Blue Devils try to figure out what went sideways in the second half here tonight. I'm not sure if there was a warning over there on the sideline.
Yeah, does seem like it is from Nicholas Balser, Florida State bench. But, you know, I don't even think it's the second 45. I think Robbie Church is going to look back at the total 90, because even what he said coming in to this second half just wasn't the typical team that he's used to seeing. See them press, create turnovers in dangerous areas, look to go more direct. Early on in the game, we hadn't seen any of that throughout this entire match.
Great crowd on hand here tonight for this Florida State match, by the way, at the Seminole Soccer Complex. Yeah, this guy's getting the crowd riled up. He's got his signs. National championship shirt. Music to the ears of these Seminole players, happy to be back home and trying to set the stage for a strong finish to the season, to what has already been a great season so far. Their first under their new head coach, Brian Pensky. Chance in the box. Raider making the run for Duke.
And I think that ball from Lynch has to go into Maggie Graham, just sitting under the back line of Florida State. It's that consistent ball over the top that's just allowed for the Noles to be able to make the play defensively. That ball goes into Maggie Graham. She's running at the back line, uncontested. Have an opportunity on goal herself.
Said it at the beginning, just 17 days away from the start of the ACC tournament. Top 6 teams go. Duke will head home, try to get ready. They'll go on the road again next Thursday to Clemson. And then they've got Louisville and then a road game at Notre Dame. And we'll be there for that one, last Thursday night of the regular season, when everybody's doing all kinds of crazy math, trying to figure out who's going to get what seed. Shot from distance, really a save! And the Seminoles get one more past the Blue Devils. Was it Garcia the one to put it away? The freshman with the biggest of the smiles in the huddle there.
I mean, it's 5 goals, but it's 5 beautiful goals from Florida State as well. This time it's another dangerous ball in. The runners coming into the box. Garcia wide open just centrally. Just finds a ton of space for herself. Just splits the back line. You see the 3 players for Florida State uncontested. And look at that ball in, driven with pace, and as Garcia just redirects it past Jones. Another beautiful goal. And really the question lingers for the Blue Devils is who's marking who? Just 3 players uncontested, making runs into the box, just too easy.
Easy save on the other end for Roque, and for Garcia. her third goal of the season. Really a high-level soccer player and cross-country runner coming out of Nevada. Was the Gatorade Nevada Cross-Country Runner of the Year and state champion last year, Garcia. Duke to this point had been unbeaten on the road, but not tonight. And I imagine you get to this point in the match, Lori, it's just about, if you're Duke, just get this thing over with. Let that clock run.
Yeah, we just saw Robbie Church's face, and it said it all. Just won't be thrilled by any means with this performance, frustrated with the performance from his team, knowing how good they are, how well they performed. We talked about the formation changes throughout the season, just the little tweaks that they've made to put themselves into great position. But, you know, I think that one of the saving grace in this game for the Duke Blue Devils is that it's happening now. You start to learn about yourself in these moments and do it in a time where you've already put yourself in a great position to really fight for postseason play. Learn a lot about yourself in these moments, and can't take any of these games for granted. Have to come out, fight. Talked so much about the fine margins for all of these teams, and Florida State, the onus was on them for the response, and they certainly answered that call.
I believe there's going to be a substitution here. We do have a player down, stretching out. I think it's Sophia Wynn for Florida State. So close to the end of the night, but not quite there. And those outside backs for the Seminoles, I mean, we talked about it being a smaller roster this year, just 21 overall on the roster, and that's when everybody's healthy and available. But you have a player like Sophia Wynn come in and have to play a ton of minutes as a freshman at outside back. And then Ron Iwai, too, in the other outside back spot for the Seminoles, a junior out of Japan who's playing a new role there. Those two have really had to be relied on for some important minutes.
And has stepped into that position, or those positions, so well. And there has been talk about this back line of Florida State, starting two freshmen, not a total cohesive unit. One of the weaker areas when you look at this Florida State team, and really have done a good job tonight in denying, really, quite frankly, any clear opportunities. A bit of a bizarre goal for Duke initially to tie the game, and outside of that, hasn't been a ton of opportunities. That's really tested Roque in a way that would certainly make Florida State feel nervy defensively.
Christina Roque has had such a stellar career, even though at times she has spent it with sharing time in goal. A lot of talented goalkeepers to come through here at Florida State. That's been the story again this year with Mia Justice. Alternating starts with Roque. But take a moment and look at those top two lines. In her career, she has never lost, and that goals against average is the best amongst any active goalkeeper in the country. Pretty incredible run that it has been in goal for the junior out of Winter Garden, Florida. She was the starting goalkeeper through the Seminoles' run in the postseason last year to their third national championship. But her defense in front of her really, as you just pointed out, Lori, did a lot for her tonight. And just keeping Duke from really having too many dangerous looks and holding at bay one of the best attacking players in the country, Michelle Cooper. Zippe picks it up in the middle of the field for the Seminoles. Those Florida State starters we talked about having to play a lot of minutes. Finally, many of them getting an opportunity to rest. Brown has come back onto the field. Jody Brown for Florida State, but she'd been on the bench for a little while. And that's important too when you get to this point in the season and you have a small roster. Coming up for Florida State, as we mentioned, they host the second-ranked Tar Heels right here at the Seminole Soccer Complex next Thursday. We'll have it for you in our primetime matchup at 8 p.m. And then they travel to Pitt and then host Virginia Tech. That's what Florida State has coming up. I'll be sure to check out ACC PM with Mark Packer, Trey Boston, Taylor Tannenbaum. They will talk football, but also have the latest from around the conference. That is weekdays 4 Eastern right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. So much that is good to talk about in ACC women's soccer as always. Another good one coming up tonight. Virginia goes on the road at Virginia Tech against a Hokie team you imagine is going to be hungry. The Hokies dropping out of the top 25 after they had back-to-back losses on the road at Miami and Clemson. But before that, Lori, one of the more impressive stretches of the season for any team, Virginia Tech, winning at NC State, winning at Wake Forest, and then winning at home against North Carolina. And the Cavaliers, of course, too, coming off of what they would consider to be a disappointing weekend. The loss to this Florida State team on their home field and then conceding a goal late to wind up in a tie in their last game against Syracuse. Garcia flying high after adding to the scoring tally for the Seminoles. Alagoa tries her luck.
And I like it from Alagoa. It's just going to be difficult to beat Ruthie Jones, 6'1", in goal for the Blue Devils from that distance. All the players from Florida State feeling tonight. Good rhythm to the way that they're playing. Wanting to get into the mix.
Plenty of happy Seminole fans in pink or garnet tonight, whichever you wish. Everybody loves to see a goal with a game with 5 goals, a goal with 5 games. I'm not sure about that, but a game with 5 goals certainly pleases the home crowd. Florida State, as we mentioned earlier, had that stretch of 5 straight where they scored 5 or more goals and got up to #1 in the nation in scoring. And if that offense was shorting out a little bit over the last few matches, just 2 goals over their last 3, well, this might be just the thing to kickstart the engine again.
And one of the words that Robbie Church spoke to us about is adaptability to be the word for this team in this 2022 season. And that's something that they're going to have to go back into the drawing board and find ways to get Michelle Cooper back on the scoring board, to continue to create opportunities. And a lot of that might have to be with just their pressure on the ball, stepping it up, denying service. So then when you are playing with players that have a verticality to their, or teams that have a verticality to their game, how do you deny that? That allows you to get some of your important players in and around the ball to be able to create more opportunities on goal.
Yeah, because if you looked at the shot numbers for tonight, they're pretty even. It says 13-12 in favor of Florida State, 6-5 shots on goal, but I don't think you come away from this as a Duke fan feeling that you were ever really very dangerous in front of goal.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's exactly it, is this the quality of the chance. I mean, credit to Florida State. I mean, they put some beautiful goals away tonight, glancing headers that were primarily uncontested by Duke as well, lost their marks in times, but that doesn't take anything away from the goal scorers. The 2 goals that Jody Brown, top-notch goals by her this evening. And a lot of it you just have to look at defensively. just the willingness to compete if you're the Blue Devils wasn't there, and picking and choosing your times when you're going to step up and be imposing with your defensive pressure.
You have a favorite of the goals tonight? Is this the one you like
Listen,
better?
I think that Jody Brown, her second goal, the first touch to set herself up, and then just like picks the corner out and just so smooth with the finish was beautiful. And that really started to force the separation and really deny Duke any sort of mentality to get back into this game. I think there's importance of that goal as well. Is why it's my favorite, but.
Right now, Duke just trying to keep it from being a half dozen in favor of Florida State. 5 goals, the most that Duke has conceded in a match all season. They had the 3-0 loss against North Carolina. That was their worst showing of the year defensively. Before tonight, when the Seminoles just erupted, it was 1-1 at halftime. But Florida State flexing their muscle in the second half at home. 5-1 the final score as the Seminoles ascend all alone to the top spot in the ACC. Florida State currently the only team with 1 loss in conference play. Can they hang on to that top spot? Tough road ahead, including right back here against second-ranked North Carolina.